Do you remember photosynthesis and how a plant would harness sunlight in order to create sugar? Why do they make it, and what's even the point? That's what we're gonna discover today in the mitochondria.
Cellular respiration is a process that creates energy by breaking down glucose. Because it breaks down a complex molecule such as glucose, it is considered a catabolic pathway. Alright, let's start respirating.
Step 1: Glycolysis.
Glycolysis is a simple process, but only if you look at it briefly. An in-depth version looks like this. But since we're only in AP biology and this is an oversimplified version of glycolysis, let's do this instead. Glycolysis is the splitting of glucose. Gly means glucose and lysis means degradation, so there you go, glycolysis. Glycolysis is special because it happens in the cytosol, not the mitochondria. But why is being in the cytosol so special? Well, first off, the reaction is anaerobic and doesn't need oxygen to work. Being in the cytosol also means an organelle isn't necessary to do this, meaning even simple prokaryotes can perform this task. So how does glycolysis begin? First, you take your glucose and just sprinkle some ATP on. 2 to be exact. Then after that, what happens? Well, stuff happens. But it's a lot, and this is a simplified video, so what do you get from all of this? Net gain of 2 ATP, NADH, 2 hydrogens, and pyruvate.
Step 1.5: The link cycle.
Remember this thing from glycolysis? Well, sadly the mitochondria won't allow just pyruvate in, and it needs to be turned into acetyl coenzyme A. It does this by a process called oxidation, where electrons are lost and, in this case, stripped from the pyruvate. Then other stuff happens, like NAD+ is turned into NADH. After that you add coenzyme A and 2 carbon fragments to get acetyl coenzyme A. Now it's finally mitochondria time.
Step 2: The Krebs cycle.
aka the citric acid cycle.
In the Krebs cycle there are multiple stops, so buckle up and get mentally prepared. In the first stop, CO2 is thrown in the trash and is a waste product. In the second stop, 3 NAD+ are turned into NADH. And hydrogen builds up. At the third stop, phosphorus is added to ADP to make ATP. And finally, at the last stop, FAD is turned into FADH. Now what do you get from this cycle? 4 CO2, 6 NADH, 2 FADH2, 2 ATP, and of course electrons from the electron carrier molecules. I know it doesn't seem like it, but NAD+ and FAD are important because they are electron acceptors. You might not see it now, but we'll see its importance later.
Step 3: Oxidative phosphorylation.
Now it's time for the big ATP maker, oxidative phosphorylation, aka the electron transport chain. You know how there was still electrons left from the Krebs cycle? Well, they all go here to the electron transport chain. This chain is in the intermembrane of the mitochondria and has multiple hydrogen pumps. The electrons from before power the chain because of electronegativity, or the tendency of an atom to attract a bonding pair of electrons. As the electrons flow through the chain, the loss of energy is used to power the pumping of protons across the intermembrane. In the first complex, the NAD is oxidized and loses its electrons to power the chain and sends a hydrogen proton into the intermembrane space. The second complex oxidizes FADH, and the third complex uses electron energy to pump hydrogen ions through the membrane. By the fourth complex, the electrons are much lower in energy and combine with 2 protons and an oxygen. Oxygen is the final electron acceptor of the electron transport chain and reduces to create water. Oh, and another hydrogen proton goes. Then chemiosmosis, an energy coupling mechanism that uses a hydrogen gradient to drive cellular work, happens. Hydrogen ions flow back through ATP synthase, an enzyme that produces ATP. There is a proton motive force, the gradient of hydrogen ions that turn ADP electrons. Since the intermembrane is impermeable to hydrogen ions, they have nowhere else to go other than ATP synthase. Why is it called oxidative phosphorylation though? It's because ADP is phosphorylated into ATP and oxygen is necessary to keep electrons flowing. This step gives us a whopping 26 to 28 ATP. Which is a lot when it's out of 30 to 32. What is ATP though, and what relevance does it have with my life? ATP stands for this really long word and is basically energy. Energy for what, you ask? Literally all the cells in your body. If this process wasn't possible, then other systems such as the immune system of the endocrine system wouldn't be possible, and we, as a species, would have died off a long time ago. So that was the mitochondria. Now I hope you know why they are called the powerhouse of the cell.